Welcome back, my homies. Over the last few months, I've been deep diving into multiple play-by-post games. In that time, I've experienced a lot of play-by-post, more compelling strengths, as well as some of the important weaknesses you'll want to consider before taking the dive into the playstyle. I also want to talk a little bit about how I think play-by-post games could be structured to reduce or eliminate those weaknesses. So let's dig in. First, for the uninitiated, Play-by-post, or PBP, is a format for playing D&D where you post your interactions, usually in Discord, but sometimes on VTTs that support it. In general, it works very much like a regular online game, except that you work with an out-of-character and in-character channel. The in-character channel, much like its name suggests, is for character interactions, and if done properly, reads like a story as you and your fellow adventurers make your way through the campaign. The out-of-character channel, or OOC, is for discussing game plans, asking the DM questions, complaining about roles and such. This is stuff that's talked about that isn't on the battle map. Now, every DM puts their own spin on it, using different channels like the ones for rolling, ones for notes and references, but the lion's share of the game lives in out-of-character and in-character channels. Outside of being based in Discord, the game is pretty much just like live, normal D&D, just slower and a whole lot of typing. The DM will prompt you with the scene and your characters will interact with it, allowing you to move through the story in a very familiar way. When combat breaks out, the DM tracks initiative and runs the combat. You can use battle maps by sharing links to D&D Beyond maps or any VTT you prefer. So now that you know what play-by-post games are, let's talk about the pros and the cons. Starting with the pros, because I'm an upbeat kind of dude. The absolute number one benefit of play-by-post is asynchronous nature of it. You can play at any time. You can pop in and do your turn and move on about your day without committing to a 4-hour block of time each week. For some busy people, this might be the only way we can even play D&D. Roleplay is easier. Seriously, you aren't put on the spot because everything is slower anyways. So for those of us who immediately following our turn, we think, man, I wish I had said whatever at the time. You can take a little extra time and craft the perfect response. And for those aspiring dungeon masters, doing a play-by-post game can really help you to get better at coloring up combat with some additional details. I think just about everyone has had combat devolve into you hit or you miss, you hit or you miss. But when you're doing play-by-post, you never write, I hit the goblin to disengage. No part of that in-character channel is a requirement to tell it like it's a story. So the I hit the goblin and I disengage turns into I dash forward, dagger in hand, plunging it deep in the torso of the goblin before deftly backing away. Just speaking for myself, I know my ability to describe interesting combat has greatly improved. Another advantage is the availability of games. There's lots of games to choose from on Start Playing. The price point of the games varies quite a bit, but games as low as $5 to $8 per session are generally available. You can also check out D&D Beyond's forum where they host play-by-post games as well. Though for this video's discussion, I would be referencing primarily the Discord-centric playstyle. That brings up a good point, by the way, on Start Playing. All the games are priced per session, but play-by-post doesn't really have a session. So in general, when you look at the cost, it will be a weekly session. Just view the cost as a cost per week and ignore the session aspect of it. Play-by-post also lends itself well to those fun secret interactions that happen between the Dungeon Master and single players. Clever DMs will use this to their advantage to promote intrigue and plot twists involving a specific player or backstory. Also handy is the running log of the entire adventure. This leaves less pressure to take notes, and the ability to review what exactly happened 6 weeks ago when you were rude to that goblin swimming in the creek is, well, kind of priceless. So yeah, there's lots of upside to play-by-post, but it's not perfect. There's some challenges with the format, some of which I think could be minimized with some extra planning and structure that I'll go over in just a moment. But for now, let's talk about the not-so-great parts of playing in a PvP campaign. The first and most glaring problem with play-by-post is speed of play. It is undeniably slower than live play D&D. While roleplay heavy parts of your game flow pretty well, combat in the initiative order creates a bottleneck. If you have ever found yourself complaining about the wizard who takes forever to pick out a spell, consider the delay if that same wizard went to bed for the night.
Can we get on with this, please?
Right, yes.
The combat will come to a dead stop until the next day. And to add to that, speed of gameplay is wildly unpredictable. You can be cruising along at a good place, enjoying the story, and find it grind to a halt for an entire day. This isn't uncommon. It's particularly painful to endure when you're at a cusp of one of those epic moments in your game where you are just dying to see what happens next. Without effort from the group and the DM, scenes can feel lifeless. If you don't commit to reading and visualizing the DM's descriptions, you and your fellow players' actions, the world will just feel flat. A vivid journey into a hidden speakeasy in Neverwinter can easily become "We went from the inn to the tavern." If you struggle with immersing yourself in text or written description, Play by Post might not be for you. It's the heart of the game. Something else to look out for is that some of your character's amazing abilities might not lend themselves well to Play by Post format. Consider my sociopathic rogue Mira. In this game, she's a soul knife rogue. So in the Psi Bolstered Knack ability, which allows my rogue to roll a d6 and add it to her roll, if she fails a skill check. In a play-by-post game, this is problematic, and here's why. Let's say that Mira finds herself on a roof of a burning building. She needs to jump from that building to the roof of another building nearby. At a regular real-time game, this is no problem at all, but in play-by-post, this might be something like this. I declare that Mira is going to try to jump from building A to building B. Then 30 minutes goes by, and the Dungeon Master finally asks for an athletics check. Another 30 minutes go by, and I roll that athletics, and I get a 12. And some more time passes before the Dungeon Master says that fails. And then some more time goes on. I declare that I'm using Bolstered Knack and roll a d6, adding 4 to my roll. And then even more time passes. And then finally the Dungeon Master says, okay, now it passes. And then go on to describe what happens if they can remember what it is we were doing in the first place. So Mira's epic leap from a roof of a burning building turns into a 2-hour slog in real time, where everyone else is stuck waiting an initiative. By the time it's resolved, the other players have tuned out. That action movie-style leap I pictured gets lost in all the delay, and that's sad, because those moments are what makes Dungeons & Dragons amazing. So whether or not play-by-post is right for you boils down to a few things. Are you patient? Are you able to wait long periods of time for your turn? Are you available enough throughout the day to pop in and add to the game? Are you proficient in writing, or do you have a desire to become more proficient? Are you able to read things and visualize them, to see scenes painted in words that your Dungeon Master or other players provide? If you can do those things, then yes, play-by-post might be a great way for you to sneak a little D&D into your workday. Now, I talked it over with Dan to get his impressions on play-by-post. We spent some time pondering how play-by-post could be improved, how we think you could avoid some of those problems associated with the format, and enjoy your games a little bit more. The first thing that comes to mind to improve your play-by-post game happens before it even begins. You need to line up schedules and state the gameplay window. What I mean by line up schedules is that yes, this is an asynchronous game, but we do want to be playing at roughly the same time. If you're playing with people across time zones, like one in Atlanta, one in Seattle, and one in Germany, schedules can clash. Stick to play-by-post with players in the same time zone. It keeps the gameplay aligned and allows for those possibilities of a live session if you run into an epic battle or an intense scene. In my game, tackling Wave Echo Cave live would be great, but one of the players is in England. It's nearly impossible for us to be on at the same time. Dungeon Masters should set clear game hours, when it's open and when it's closed, and stick to them. It's better to know the game opens at 8 a.m. Monday than to wonder all weekend if I attack it. A set schedule helps to establish healthy game cadence and manages your players' expectations. During your play-by-post game, utilize different channels to give that one-on-one Dungeon Master to player interactions that helps create more realism. It is, after all, one of the few areas where play-by-post actually outperforms live play. Consider adding another channel for general chat and any type of casual chat, reserving the out-of-character and the in-character games specifically for game talk. Keep a reference channel to include links, whatever map software you're using, or any type of notes you have that you want your players to be able to recall easily, and also include your session 0 information. Also consider keeping a channel specifically for loot if your party is going to pool it. As a Dungeon Master, don't be afraid to hand responsibility off to a player and let them manage that channel. If you go the way of Discord, which is by and large predominant way to play it, there's a host of tools designed to help you play by post. Tools like Tuberbox can help you alter your persona and the channels that match your character. And of course there's Avray, I have no idea how to pronounce that, D&D Beyond's own Discord bot designed to link your character sheets to D&D Beyond in Discord. There's much to be said about Avray, and for sure it's likely deserves its own video. To sum it up though, it's great 90% of the time and totally worth using. There's a 10% of the time that requires some hands-on from the Dungeon Master, but they should be hands-on anyways. And that's it, everything you need to know about play-by-post. Dan and I are currently discussing co-DMing a play-by-post game on Start Playing, as we have a theory that 2 DMs available to manage the table can lead to a better experience all around. Let me know in the comments whether you have tried play-by-post and what your thought on it is, and how do you think it could be improved. You guys have a killer week, and I will see you guys next time.